What if the moment that looks like victory is actually the beginning of sacrifice? What if the crowd cheering for you today could misunderstand you completely tomorrow? And what if the way Jesus chose to enter a city reveals more about his kingdom than any sermon ever could? In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 11, verses 1 to 11, we see a moment that is often called the Triumphal Entry. At first glance, it feels like celebration, movement, excitement, a sense that something important is happening. Jesus is approaching Jerusalem, but before he enters, he gives very specific instructions to two of his disciples. He tells them to go into a nearby village where they will find a colt tied there, one that no one has ever ridden. He tells them to untie it and bring it to him. And if anyone asks why, they are to say, "The Lord needs it and will send it back shortly." Everything unfolds exactly as he said. The disciples find the colt, they are questioned, they respond as instructed, and they bring the animal to Jesus. Now this detail may seem small, but it is deeply symbolic. Jesus, who has walked everywhere, now chooses to ride. But not on a war horse, not on a symbol of power or dominance. He rides on a colt, a young donkey. This is intentional. In ancient times, kings who rode horses often came in war, but those who rode donkeys came in peace. So before Jesus even speaks, he is already communicating something powerful. He is not entering as a conqueror in the way people expect. He is entering as a king of peace. The disciples place their cloaks on the colt and Jesus sits on it. As he moves forward, the crowd begins to respond. Many spread their cloaks on the road. Others spread branches they have cut from the fields. This is an act of honor. It is a way of saying, "You are worthy, you are important." And then the voices rise. "Hosanna!" they shout. "Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. Hosanna in the highest heaven." It is a moment filled with energy, a moment of recognition, a moment that looks like the beginning of something grand. But there is something deeper happening beneath the surface, because the crowd is celebrating, but they do not fully understand. They are welcoming Jesus as a king, but many are expecting a different kind of king. A king who will overthrow political powers, a king who will restore national strength, a king who will bring visible, immediate change. But Jesus is not coming to meet those expectations. He is coming to fulfill a different purpose. And that is where the tension begins. Because sometimes we celebrate what we think God is going to do, not what he is actually doing. The crowd is not wrong to praise, but their understanding is incomplete. And incomplete understanding can lead to misplaced expectation. This moment forces us to reflect on something important. Do we follow God for who he truly is, or for what we expect him to do? Because when expectations are not met, reactions can change quickly. The same voices that shout Hosanna today can become silent or even critical tomorrow. But Jesus continues forward. He does not stop the praise. He does not correct the crowd in this moment. He allows it. Because even in incomplete understanding, there is still recognition of something real. But he knows where this path leads. He knows that this entry is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a final journey. A journey that leads not to a throne in the way people expect, but to a cross. And yet, he still enters. This is what makes the moment so powerful. Jesus is not being carried by the crowd's excitement. He is moving with purpose beyond it. He is not reacting to their praise. He is fulfilling his mission. And this is something we often overlook. Because from the outside, it looks like celebration. But from the inside, Jesus knows the cost. He knows the rejection that will follow. He knows the suffering that is ahead. He knows the misunderstanding that will continue. And still, he moves forward. This reveals something profound about his character. He is not driven by approval. He is not discouraged by misunderstanding. He is anchored in purpose. And that purpose does not change based on the crowd's response. This is a powerful reminder for us, because we live in a world where approval can feel important, where recognition can shape decisions, where praise can influence direction. But Jesus shows a different way, a way that is not controlled by external reaction, but guided by internal conviction. As he enters Jerusalem, the crowd continues to celebrate. There is movement, noise, energy, but eventually the scene quiets. Mark tells us that Jesus enters the temple courts. He looks around at everything, and because it is already late, he goes out to Bethany with the 12. This ending is quiet, unexpectedly quiet. After all the celebration, all the shouting, all the movement, there is stillness. Jesus looks, observes, and leaves. This moment invites reflection, because it shows that not every important moment ends with visible action. Sometimes it ends with observation, with awareness, with preparation. Jesus does not rush into immediate confrontation or change. He takes in the environment, he sees clearly, and then he steps away. This is a reminder that timing matters, that not everything needs to happen at once, that understanding often comes before action, and that purpose unfolds step by step. The triumphal entry is not just about celebration, it is about contrast. The contrast between expectation and reality, between visible excitement and deeper purpose, between what people see and what God is doing. And this contrast speaks directly into our lives today, because we often approach situations with expectation. We anticipate outcomes. We imagine how things should unfold. And when reality does not match expectation, confusion can follow. But Jesus shows us that purpose is not always aligned with expectation, that the path of meaning is not always the path of comfort, and that true victory may look very different from what we imagine. The image of Jesus riding on a donkey remains central to this message, because it challenges our assumptions about strength. In the world, strength often looks like dominance, control, power, but in this moment, strength looks like humility, like peace, like intentional surrender to a greater plan. And this is not weakness, it is a different kind of power, a power that does not need to prove itself through force, but expresses itself through purpose. This moment also invites us to examine our own responses. How do we respond when things do not unfold as expected? Do we lose faith? Do we withdraw? Do we question everything? Or do we trust that there may be a deeper purpose we do not yet see? Because the crowd's reaction is a mirror, a reflection of how easily perception can shift, how quickly excitement can turn into uncertainty, and how important it is to anchor faith not in momentary emotion, but in lasting truth. Jesus does not reject the crowd, but he is not defined by them either. He moves forward regardless. And this teaches us something essential, that our direction should not be determined by external reaction, but by internal alignment with purpose. And that purpose is not always obvious in the moment. Sometimes it unfolds over time. Sometimes it requires patience. Sometimes it includes challenges we did not expect, but it always moves towards something meaningful. The triumphal entry is a beginning, a doorway into the final chapter of Jesus' earthly mission. A chapter that includes both celebration and suffering, both recognition and rejection, both praise and silence. And through it all, Jesus remains consistent, focused, intentional. So as we reflect on this passage, we are invited to see beyond the surface, beyond the celebration, beyond the expectation, and into the deeper truth of what is happening. That true kingship is not about display, it is about purpose. That true strength is not about control, it is about direction. And that true victory is not always immediate, but it is always meaningful. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, take a moment to like, follow the channel, and share this video with someone who may need a new perspective on purpose and expectation today.